Hello, hello.
Oh, hello,
What's
hello,
up, man?
hello.
How you doing, Judo?
I'm doing excellent and amazing and exciting. I had just an awesome day yesterday, and we had a great show yesterday talking about one
Here
of
we
my
go.
favorite topics, rent to own and subject to, and then just you know plowed on through the rest of the day and had a great day. I'm going to the dentist today. How's that for a sign of that we are opening back up and good stuff is happening again, and we're allowed to go do these things?
Are you ready for the COVID surcharge? Did you hear about this?
Oh,
So
no.
and it's legit. It's totally legit. So my wife the other day, like she
Well,
set up.
saying something is real doesn't necessarily mean it's legit. Are you
Well,
saying that that a COVID surcharge is actually in effect, or are you saying that you also believe it's in effect and it's legitimate?
I don't know what your dentist is doing,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is my wife the other day was setting up appointments for myself, herself, the kids, all that kind of stuff. And she starts asking around, like, look, we really relocated a year ago, and
Right.
unfortunately I'm not like the go to the dentist every 6 months kind of guy.
Right.
um I get a cavity like 3 times in my life, so
Right.
like it's not, I drink lots of milk and brush my teeth well, so whatever.
Right.
Bottom line here is that she starts asking around her friends and locally that who do you use for the dentist, and they start telling her about this COVID surcharge that they're getting from the dentist and start complaining about it. And we start talking about it. And what I realize is, hey, look, prices are going up
Yeah.
because dentists have they if you have insurance, right? Your insurance company is going to pay X amount of dollars for a visit. The problem is when you go to the dentist, now they have additional gear that they have to buy and have to wear
They
that
also
cost.
can't have as many people in as possible, so therefore,
Yeah,
overhead is overhead. But if you can't sell as many apples at your fruit stand because you're only allowed to display half as many, the price of the individual apples has to go up. So
yeah.
it's the
And
same way with visits. Yeah, that makes sense.
well, yeah, so like there's like an additional couple dollar charge. I don't know if it's couple dollar like $20 or couple dollars like $150, but beware.
That's
Um,
great. I will definitely be. I will ask about that and report back on the
that's
show
great.
tomorrow
Awesome.
for our dear listeners who might be interested in the state of dental hygiene pricing in central Pennsylvania.
You're gonna come in here tomorrow with gum
Yeah.
that like, oh man, this has been a tough COVID time.
I didn't pay the surcharge, and this is what they did.
That's great.
Next time, please pay the surcharge.
That's hilarious. All right, so
At least we
welcome
think it's
everybody.
hilarious. I'm sure
Now,
nobody else thinks it's hilarious.
exactly. Now that we've gone through our our 80-year-old gums and no teeth bit. Thanks for joining us today, everybody, for the Build and Grow with Real Estate Show. My name is Josh Weidman. This is my partner.
See, it's hard, isn't it?
It is. It's confusing. Every day we come to you at noon talking about real estate. Monday through Wednesday, we do some educational stuff. This week, we are talking about lease options and finishing up our subject to, education side. On Thursday, we have a guest plan, which is tomorrow. And Fridays, we pull it together with news of the week and jump into, the national and local news and how it relates to real estate.
Real estate investors and realtors. Yeah. So we take a local look on national news and chew it up and spit it back out. Josh, who are you?
My name's Josh Weidman. I've been a real estate investor since December 2006. So I got about coming up on 14 years here in the business. And during that time, I've been involved in a lot of different parts of the business. Right now, I'm a hard money lender right here in central Pennsylvania. We have offices. Hard Money Bankers has offices here in central PA, Philadelphia, North Jersey, and our flagship office is in Columbia, Maryland. We lend in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Northern Virginia, and DC. If you have a project that you want to get funding on, we are different than most other lenders, and that's because we're a direct lender, which means we're lending out our own capital and can move really, really fast. If you contact me today after the show and say, hey, Josh, I got this great property, but I need to close tomorrow, I'm the guy to talk to. We can underwrite the loan, get you approved same day. If the title's ready, if you've got your ducks in a row, we can close tomorrow. We've done it frequently. We do it all the time. We've even closed as quickly as the same day that we've had people contact us. Now, if you call me this afternoon and want to do that, it's not going to happen. But if you call me at 7 a.m. and it's an emergency and your lender disappeared, that's a different story. So,
That is
Judah,
amazing to me, my friend. That is amazing to me. Congrats.
it's not on me. 100% not
Right.
on me. We have an amazing back end, really, really great people, really great team, and everybody is singularly focused on helping our clients get the closing, get the job done, get what they need to to make money in real estate. So, Judah, tell me about you.
So my name is Judah Hoover, real estate investor for about 20 years, service provider to the real estate industry. I've been a hard money lender. I have been a home flipper. I have been a mortgage lender in both residential and the commercial world. I focus a lot of my time, effort, energy right now being an executive of a property management company and operating as a realtor. I got to tell you, it's been kind of fun. I've been working with a lot more wholesalers recently. If you're a wholesaler, I want you to pay specific attention to this because we can do something where we can get some of your marketing costs covered. When you have a listing or when you have a deal that you can't buy for cheap or the motivation isn't there, I will list that property. And that's a great referral for me. And I can, as long as we do co-branding right and a bunch of other things right, we have to talk about how to make it, compliant and everything like that. I can actually end up paying for your marketing. So if you're a wholesaler and you would like free marketing, give Judah Hoover a call, 717-766-7994.
Awesome. Beautiful. So we've been talking this week, that the last 2 weeks actually. We started with subject to investing. And subject to, if you're not familiar, it's the idea of buying a property while keeping the seller's financing in place and buying the house while the seller, they move out, they sign the deed over to you. You own the house, but the financing is their own. So their mortgage stays in place
Right, there's a
until.
perfectly good 30-year fixed mortgage on it. Why go get a different one?
That's exactly right. So that's the one side. The other side of that, the exit out of those properties can be, and this is our topic for yesterday and today, can be a lease option or a rent to own sale. And I'm going to pull up the slides here, Judah. Using lease options to sell your subject to property is a great way to maximize your numbers. And we talked about this yesterday a little bit. I'm not going to go through all of the, we'll give an overview here of the last couple slides from yesterday. If you're interested in this, circle back, take a look at the video from yesterday. But, essentially on the seller side, it makes sense because they get a premium for the property. They get an option fee up front and they get monthly cash flow. Why does it make sense for the tenant or the tenant buyer, Judah?
Well, it makes sense for the tenant buyer because they're people who don't quite qualify for a mortgage and they can live in a nicer than average property in a nicer than average neighborhood, as opposed to what they would otherwise qualify if they were just going to go the tenant rate. They can also build up their down payment over time by paying a little bit of extra rent credits. I don't necessarily always recommend that, but that's one of the things that they can do. And they can also lock up and tie up their dream house or their next dream house. Maybe it's not their forever home, but it's kind of their next home. While they're still working on their credit or moving away from a bankruptcy or a divorce or a business failure or whatever has them jacked up and they can't buy their own house right now.
Exactly. There's 3 ways you can make money as the seller landlord. You're looking at non-refundable option fees up front. We're going to get into some more details on what an option is. Like we dug into that yesterday, but what the paperwork looks like, what the necessity is. You're going to make that monthly cash flow arbitrage between mortgage payment and expenses versus the rent. And then the sales price premium, the 5 to 10% above or even 15% above market value that you're going to have there. Then we went into tenant buyer profile. Who are these people, Judah? Who are they? Who's the perfect tenant buyer?
Yeah, somebody that's got some credit challenges. Bad stuff happens to good people, and what you're looking for, and really what you want to do is cast a wide net, and who will raise their hand, like this young lady here, and say that they are interested, are people who are good people. They've just had something bad happen to them, so they
Yeah,
just went through a divorce, and therefore their credit's all jacked up, or they were a there's a lot of people out there who maybe they had their own pharmacy and they were running their own business, and now they go and work as a pharmacist for CVS. I see that all the time in this type of thing. I can't think of any better examples, but like, or Josh, you're a partner in Hard Money Bankers.
yeah.
Let's say Hard Money Bankers failed tomorrow, and therefore you have a business failure. Well, you would go work for JP Morgan, or you would work for Bank of Lancaster County, not Bank of Lancaster County, not around anymore. Fulton Bank or something like that, and you would become a banker, but it would take you a year or two to establish a W-2 track record.
Great.
So there's a
Yeah.
lot of people who have a business failure. They're still in the same line of work, so they're going to be able to establish that new business line of work very, very quickly, but they still have some hair on them.
Well, it's something that's really prevalent, is going to be really prevalent right now. I mean, we every week on our Friday show, we talk about the unemployment rate. And every week for 16 weeks, we've had
Right.
over 1 million people that are unemployed for the first time with, first time unemployment claims. We're going to go into a time coming up here where people may have some choppy stuff going on in their credit in the short term. They might need to move, or want to move, or whatever, and they may have a solid foundation, but you're going to be able to look at a 3 or 4 month period where maybe their credit gets really screwed up. I mean, I
Right.
don't know about you, but like, this is years and years ago, but I had a construction company, and omitted paying the one of the more or payments on one of our trucks. It was total oversight, but
Right.
I missed the 30-day number, and my score went from like 750 to like 625.
Right. Overnight.
Boom, overnight. It's like, what the heck is going on here, right? This is a great time to work with some really great people that maybe they got some cash that they socked away. Maybe they've got some really good, a solid employment history prior to COVID. They get back on their feet, and now they just need a restart. Like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yep. There's crazy things happen like that. So let's keep on. Let's dive
All right.
into
So
some new content here.
yeah. So how the heck do we find these people? Right? Like, I know that's a big question. Yesterday, off the air, some of the comments on the show were like, "Yo, sounds great." But like, how do you attract the people?
Right. Where do you find these people at? And I think that the biggest thing for this is just being really aggressive with your marketing.
Yep.
And whether it's a rent to own property or a standard property, I think that one of the things that you want to do is try and market the property, for when they were in the paper. When I would run these, I would run these in the ads for sale in the paper. That's how long I've been doing this. I wouldn't put it in the for rent section. I would do it in the homes for sale section. And I want to explain why that is, even though it doesn't apply anymore, just because I think it gets you the mindset that you need. So somebody's going to look through a bunch of homes for rent, a bunch of homes for rent, a bunch of homes for rent, and then they're going to say, honey, I know that we can't actually buy this house, any of these houses over here for sale, but let's just flip in the classified section and see homes for sale. Oh my goodness. Look at these magical words, honey. No bank qualifying, rent to own.
Yeah.
And so they're going to go from a position of being defeated to positive. So what you want to do is, when you're marketing these, you want it to look like a home for sale. When a lot of people rent a house, or they put it on Zillow or Truly or other, for rent pages, they take a picture just to the front of the house, and the ad copy reads like, 2 beds, 1 bath, no cats, no smoking, call Frank, and a telephone number. You know what I mean? Like
That's exactly right. It's
that
true.
that so you want to treat this like it's a home for sale. So
Yeah.
take awesome pictures. Take take 20 or 30 pictures. Write a compelling description of the property, and do not discuss terms in the ad. Don't say what the rent is going to be or what the purchase price is going to be or anything like that. They've got to call you for that. The point of an ad is to get people to call. If you educate people in the ad, they're not going to call. It's just like with bandit signs. A bandit sign should say, we buy houses and a telephone number, or we buy homes. I use the word homes. We buy homes and a telephone number. Should not say pay cash, should not say settle quickly, should not say, take over payments or anything like that. You want that ad to be as mostly informative about the property, not the process or things like that. And those words, no bank qualifying, rent to own, right at the top. Because here's the thing. I didn't say no qualifying. I said no bank qualifying.
Yeah, exactly. Well, big shout out to Anthony Moore, prior guest on the show, watching today, and he is one of the guys that's using lease options. Judah kind of pushed him into that area, and he's doing really, really well with it. Anthony, thanks for jumping on here. So I want to throw a I don't know, a couple notes here on the marketing side.
Yep.
If you're marketing any property, photos make a humongous difference. Just a year ago, I sold my primary residence. I've sold a bunch of flips throughout the years, but I sold my primary residence, and it was like I could look at things with new eyes. Right? Had an amazing agent in Montgomery County, and if you know Jim Zaspel, his wife Marina Zaspel did the listing. She's a killer agent. She sends somebody over to take photos. Well, beforehand, we sent her a bunch of photos just so she could give us some suggestions on, like, hey, change this, paint that, change the carpet, do whatever. And we made the changes. The photographer comes out, takes the photos, and prior to listing the house, she sends us the photos. My wife goes, "Is that our house?"
Right.
That's the best looking place I ever saw. Our house never looked that nice.
Right.
And coincidentally, we sold for like $20,000 over asking on the first weekend it was listed. It's all about presentation, because guess what? If you have one person show up that's interested in your rent-to-own property, you have one option to move that property.
Right.
If you have 100 people show up, you can pick the very best person, somebody that in 6 months or a month is going to be ready, has a ton of cash to put down on your option fee, has plenty of income coming in, and they missed a mortgage payment or they missed a car payment during COVID, and that they have to get fixed up. I mean, I had a borrower that we did a loan for. He went to China for 3 months. And while he was in China, the servicer sold the loan, and they were mailing his coupons to the wrong address. He lost 120 points like that from his credit or something like that. I mean, things like that happen, and you have good people, but how are we going to get in front of that person unless you see the house and they're really interested in it?
Right. So let's talk about ad copy here for just a second. So photos are great. Your cell phone is fine. They don't have to be color corrected or anything like that, though. Just take a bunch of photos. Obviously, make sure the toilet seat is closed and other stuff like that, and take them from the best angles and think about what else is in the photo. But just take a bunch of photos of your property. The thing with ad copy is this: it's very important. So I hesitate to even tell people this, because these are some of my dirtiest, darkest secrets. For how the Lighthouse Group fills vacancies as quick as we do. We fill vacancies in 1 to 2 weeks without any problems at all on the rental side. And it's because I write our ad copy, and I'm good at it. So I ran an ad one time for a rent to own situation. It was a no bank qualifying rent to own, and I in the description I said Brontosaurus sized kitchen. Not dinosaur, not huge, not enormous. I said it's a Brontosaurus sized kitchen. And it was just a large kitchen for a 3-bed, 1.5 bath with a 1-car attached garage. Just the way the layout was, it just, the kitchen was like 50% larger than what most kitchens would be. In 48 hours, I got 96 phone calls. On Monday and Tuesday. Their ad ran over the weekend. On Monday and Tuesday, I got 96 phone calls. You can't take 96 phone calls. Like, you can't. It's impossible to spend 5 to 7 minutes in 2 days describing to people how a rent to own situation works. So if you write good ad copy, here's the other ad copy I write. If for your whatever reason your subject property has 2 full baths, don't say 2 full baths. Anybody can say 2 full baths. Say, hey mom, imagine a shower that you can refuse to let your kids use.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's benefits versus features.
You
The
sell the
benefit,
sizzle, not the steak.
yeah, exactly.
If it's a C or a D quality property and you have a washer and dryer hookup, or better yet, it comes with a washer and dryer, or if it's something like that, imagine never going to a laundromat again.
Yeah, exactly.
Natural gas heat, great for the environment, better for your wallet. Don't use the word budget, say wallet, because you don't want people to think that they have to be on a budget or they should be on a budget or things like that. So run great ad copy. Use descriptive words. Use a thesaurus on Google to pick out some crazy outlandish words, and you like Brontosaurus sized kitchen, and you will absolutely get tons of attention.
All right, before we leave the marketing side,
Yep.
just while we were on the air, I did a quick search for rental properties in Lancaster.
Right.
Guess what the #1 listing was?
One of Judah Hoover's.
It's Slate House Group. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Slate House Group. It's #1. But I mean, and that's an ad. But guess who #2 is? I mean, you know this. You absolutely know this. It's Zillow.
Lighthouse?
It's
Yeah.
right? Zillow is a monster in the private, in the private posting market. So if you're going to put this out there, it used to be Craigslist. Craigslist
Right.
used to be the place. It's
Now
not.
Craigslist is so full of scams, it's not even funny.
And
I don't
it's all scammers.
waste my time posting my ads on I mean, like,
It doesn't make sense.
less than 50% of the time do we post a property on Craigslist.
But Zillow, what Zillow will do is it's going to syndicate your posting on a lot of smaller websites as well. And you're going to be in a position where the most amount of eyeballs are going to see that property.
Right.
Because of that, I would list this for rent and I would also list it for sale. So you get a cross section of people that are looking for houses. Will you get people that are going to call you to buy it? Yeah. But, you can screen them the same way, right? But you want to get the most amount of eyeballs out there and just make sure that you have, rent to own, bank, and no bank qualifying, rent to own, that sort of thing in your ad, and you'll be good to go.
It also doesn't matter if people want to buy it from you. Josh, what do you want to make? A quick nickel or a slow dime?
Yeah, exactly. That's
You wanna
exactly.
make a quick, I mean, sometimes I want to make a quick nickel. Sometimes I want to make a slow dime. Sometimes I'm trying to make a slow dime and somebody offers me a quick nickel and I say, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So remember our just to keep our numbers even, though we should probably double these now, but we use a stereotypical example of, let's say I buy Josh's house from him for $95,000 because that's what the mortgage balance is, and I'm looking to sell it for 110. If I have somebody offer me 110, do I care? No.
Right.
In a hot real estate market like this, is it probably going to appraise? Probably. Would I be willing to sell to him for 105? Sure, absolutely. So
Right.
just it doesn't matter if people make you those offers.
All right. The last item here, it's the last on the list. Don't put any kind of details about the term, like what the rent to own looks like in the ad or anything like that. You don't have to get into it. Just drop that little note. People will notice it. You don't have to get crazy in depth. Just leave it there. All right. Now your phone's going to start ringing.
Phone's going to start blowing up.
Yeah. I put this on here 3 times. It's listed on the bottom. I'm going to bring it back up to the top. Never schedule a private showing. Never. And if you want to test the waters, go ahead, schedule a private showing, but also throw out like half of your day.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is Judah's cousin, and I don't even know who that is, but Judah's cousin calls about this ad on Zillow and says, listen, we're looking for a place to live. I really want this house. Can I meet you tomorrow at 10 a.m.? You want to meet me at 10 a.m.? Absolutely. I'd love to meet you there. So It just so happens that this property is about 30 minutes from my house. So at 9:20, I jump in the car. I drive down to the property and I get there 10 minutes early, open the thing up. I'm waiting, excited. I got my business cards and all this kind of stuff. And checking my watch, it's 10 o'clock. Well, it'll be here any minute. Then it's 10:05 and 10:10 and 10:15. I decide I'm going to call Judy's cousin. Oh, we're right down the street. We'll be there in 5 minutes. 10 minutes go by and I call again. It goes to voicemail and I get a text. We're almost there. At 10:30, finally I call again and I'm like ready to walk out. And no phone call. I send a text. No response. No nothing. So then I drive home. That's an hour and a half of my day gone with nothing productive going on.
Right.
Instead, schedule an open house. Pick a Saturday morning and pick an afternoon during the week. And not like 12 to 2, but like, I don't know, 6 to 8. A 1 or 2 hour window. And every time you get a phone call, you say, yeah, absolutely, John, thanks for calling me. We're having an open house on Tuesday between 6 and 8 o'clock. You can't make it? Well, we're also going to have one that Saturday between 10 and 12. If you can't make it, sorry, too bad. You will have enough calls from that ad that if they can't make it, they can't make it. Sorry. If it's still available after the open house, I'll call and let you know. Right? That's easy.
Yeah. So the other thing that I do to sometimes fill vacancies is I knock on all the doors in the neighborhood and I tell them that they can pick their neighbors. I also put out signs. I want it to look like the circus is coming to town. And right now it's very easy to fill vacancies, but even 2 or 3 years ago, it wasn't. And depending on what the market does, a year or two from now, it might not be. So one of the things that I do is I knock on Josh's door. I say, hey, Josh, I've got 123 Main Street down the street here. I'm trying to sell it. Potentially do, a tenant buyer type situation, offer some seller financing. Is it okay if I put a sign in your front yard? Listen, I know crime's not probably that big of a problem in this neighborhood, but obviously we want to get it filled as quick as possible because vacant homes sometimes cause problems from time to time.
Yep.
Now, all I did was just plant that seed of doubt. You know what I mean? All I did was mention crime. I know crime's not that big of a problem in this neighborhood, but typically what I like to do, and by the way, Josh, we've got a $10 Starbucks gift card here for you. Thank you very much for letting me put a sign in your front yard, pointing people to the thing. Dude, I buy 3 or 5 Starbucks gift cards and ask people's permission. If they have a corner lot, they've probably had realtors ask them all the time, or worse yet, they've probably just had realtors put signs in their yards and not ask them. If you ask them permission and you put a sign in their yard, they're gonna pull it out and then mow around it and then put it back. And it's gonna be it's amazing what happens if you just show people a little bit of gratitude.
In addition to that, when you introduce yourself to the neighbor, now they know you.
Right.
You hand them a business card and you say, I own this house.
Right.
I'm going to do a rent to own for a new buyer to move into.
Anything comes up, there's any problems or anything like that, I want to work on it. Call me. Let's work something out. Let's do something here. Yep.
All right. So at the open house, you got to have a sign-in sheet as soon as somebody walks in the door. Now, look, with COVID, it's a little different. Maybe you set up out front, you put your mask on, and you have a sign-up sheet. When somebody comes up, you say, please sign in. They put down their name, phone number, email address. Now you have the contact information, and maybe they're not interested in this house, but now you have a pool of interested tenant buyers for the next round, right?
Those are also great people to send to your mortgage lender, by the way, who may be able to get them qualified as buyers. And then those are great people to send to your local friendly realtors, by the way.
There we go. So you have everybody sign.
It's great to have mortgage brokers willing to pull credit for you for free. And it's great to have realtors willing to give you comps. And how you do that is you supply them with leads.
There you go. All right. What else do you need here? You're going to need a description of your process. Now, I'm not talking about a legal document. I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm talking about a 1-page or even a half-page overview with some graphics on it. And you know what? Actually, Judah, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to have this available, not today, but if you're interested in getting a copy of a brief description that you can give to potential buyers, shoot me an email. And by next week, I'll have something to go out. But it's just something simple that's like, all right, here's how this works. It's a lease and it's also an option. We're going to agree on a price for the house. We're going to agree on a monthly rental rate. There's an option fee up front that will go towards the purchase and gives you the exclusive right to buy the
Not an
property.
option fee. Not an option fee. Not an
Oh,
option fee. Never say an option fee. It's a non-refundable option consideration.
there we okay.
Never call it internally or externally anything other than a non-refundable option consideration. You don't want to screw
That's right.
up. You don't want to accidentally call it something different. You don't ever want to the words you refer to it as nothing other than a non-refundable option consideration.
There we go. All right. And then be prepared to answer questions. You do not get into grave detail. You're not going to, like, you don't have to know every single answer to every single question. But when they start asking about the house, hey, tell me about this, tell me about that. What about the bathroom? Can we paint in here? Can we have a dog? Can we have this? Can we have that? Answer their questions. I mean, you're
Right.
going to predetermine this stuff beforehand and let them go through. Also, you're going to want to have an application. You have an application sitting there, and for crying out loud, if you're going to have an application, charge a fee, because it's going to cost you an arm and a leg if you have 10 applications and nobody pays a fee, and it costs you $500 to run on all the apps. So charge a small fee, whatever the cost is. Usually,
You can also you can download free, rental applications really easily online.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just looking for a professional looking form where you can gather up their information and go from there.
Right. All right. So you got these applications. Now, what do you do with them? After the fact, we're going to start screening these apps.
Right.
All right. So, what we have, I call this a three-legged stool analysis. Okay. If you imagine the three-legged stool, we got one right here on the slide. You got a three-legged stool. If you take one of those legs out, the thing's going to fall
over.
Now, you can pick a box and slide a box under there to help hold it up, right? And it's going to be fine. But if you take two of those legs out, nothing's going to keep that thing up, right?
Right.
So the three legs of our screening process is the credit report, and I like credit and background.
Credit situation. How long is it until this person is going to be credit qualifiable?
Right. Number two is our income, right? And number three is their rental history. So let's go through these. The credit situation. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do is when I'm calling people back and saying, "Hey, Josh, appreciate your application. Hey, I'm getting ready to pull your credit. I just wanted to go over your application and just clarify a couple of things. When I pull your credit, Josh, I'm not looking for perfect people, because obviously this is a rent-to-own situation. I'm not looking for people who are necessarily qualified for homeowners. I am looking for honest people, Josh. So when I pull your credit, what am I going to find? Dude, people will tell you about the time they stuck gum underneath the desk in music class in 7th grade because they didn't want the teacher to catch them chewing gum. I don't know. Did I just date myself? Are you allowed to chew gum in school these days? I know no gum was a very big deal when I was in middle school and high school. They will tell you about a parking ticket that they got in Arizona, one spring break, when between high school and college. They will tell you about a fight that their brother is having with them over who put a dent in their car. They will tell you about stuff that won't ever even possibly show up on a credit report. Yep. But you're going to find out, what's going on with this person. And by the way, if they don't tell you about a bankruptcy and you see a bankruptcy, that's a big red flag. If they don't tell you about a $20,000 IRS lien and then you see it, that's a big red flag. One of the biggest things that I look for when I'm looking at the credit is no back due child support or super major collections. And really, even if somebody has major collections and things like that, and they're never actually going to be able to buy it, that's fine. If they're willing to put a non-refundable option consideration down and they've got good rental income and credit, I don't hope people can't buy my houses, but it's okay if they don't ever buy them. Let's put it that way. What I look for, though, is I just have a very soft spot for single moms and deadbeat parents, and I really trade heavily on no back child support. Now, child support always reports in arrears. So if somebody has to pay court-ordered child support, and you're not familiar with this, if it's $1,000 a month, it might show that they owe 1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 in child support. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about back due child support. I'm talking about $5, $10, $15, $20,000 in back due child support.
And that comes off the top. That supersedes a lot of other things. They can garnish wages. It can cause major problems with the tenant buyer, even if they swear up and down that everything's cool.
Right.
Another red flag on my end are judgments, mainly because judgments have to be paid. They don't disappear.
Right.
They're going to follow you around forever. That means not only has the debt gone to collection, but they've gone to court and got a judgment against that person. And until that's paid, it never goes away.
Right.
So it's going to be very difficult for them to get qualified. Income. Look, there's a big argument here about there's a lot of back and forth that I've had with people about what's an appropriate income level. If you're in a median home price area, you're in nice neighborhoods, B+ neighborhoods, you really need people with 3 times, like, net income of 3 times the cost.
Right.
Because you're going to have a $2,000 a month rental property. You're going to have something that's $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 a month. They got to make decent income to be able to afford that. And so that's something that you got to keep in mind, and make sure that it's not just their quoted income, bank statements or check stubs. Very, very important.
Super, super easy.
Yeah. Last thing is rental history. Look, some people have no rental history. Maybe they're moving out of their parents' house for the first time. That's okay. Cosigner, bigger upfront non-refundable option, right? Whatever the case might be. But a lot of the people that you're going to be pooling into this rent to own situation are people that do have rental history. So talk to their existing landlord. Talk to the landlord before their existing landlord and see if they paid on time. Don't ask questions like, do they pay on time? Because if it's a problem tenant, the answer is going to be, yeah, of course they pay on time.
Right.
It's, when was the last time ... When was the last time they called about a service call on the property? Tell me about that. When was the last time they called you with an emergency? When was the last time they were late on their rent? Things happen throughout life, and sometimes people put a check in the mail and it never gets there. But then when they say, oh yeah, like 3 months ago they missed a payment, they said that they didn't that they put it in the mail, I never got it. The day I called them, they drove the payment over to me and handed it to me. That's a great tenant. That's an oversight. Whatever.
The other thing you want to do whenever you're screening people is Google them.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to do. Look them up on social media. See if you can find their Facebook. And then by looking them up on social media, you might see that you have 2 or 3 friends in common. And you can call them up and say, hey, I see that you're friends with Josh Weidman. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you can do all of those things. The only other thing that I'll say about rental history is there's a difference between filing for eviction and being evicted. I don't mind so much if I see that somebody's had 1 or 2 filings, but they've never actually been evicted. If somebody has actually been evicted anytime in the last 5 years, I'm not interested.
Well, and a lot of times too. So I had a tenant one time that I rented to that had an eviction on her record. Come to find out, she had open heart surgery, didn't pay her rent, and the management company had an obligation based on their contract with the owner to move forward with the eviction process. When she got out of the hospital and recovered, she had unemployment or not unemployment. I think it was a workers' comp.
Yep.
Yeah. And so she had the income, and so she paid it. And she never actually left the property. She lived there for like 6 years afterwards. Look into evictions, ask questions. Most of the time, you just pass. But if you ask questions, you find a lot more information out about the person and their background and things than just
especially if you got somebody who has a 618 credit score. They're 2 points away from that magical 620, and they've got good income, and they're going through an eviction right now. Like this month, they're being evicted because of a divorce situation.
Yep.
Great, I'll rent to that person all day long. So you just have to make common sense decisions. Tell me more about that. What led to that? What's the situation? And as we talked about yesterday on the show, anybody who blames everyone else for their problems, that's not somebody you're looking for. So somebody who takes some responsibility for what's been going on in their life and also talks to you about corrective action that they're taking. Hey, yep, wife and I got divorced, unfortunate situation, really bad. I'm also selling a truck to keep my payments as low as possible. I'm looking to get extra hours at the office, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the case may be, you're looking for somebody looking to work their way out of the grave they've dug for themselves.
That's awesome. All right. So now you found your tenant. You picked them out. You got two necessary documents and three that you should have, right? The first one is the option agreement. Within that agreement, you're going to have a couple bits of information. Go ahead, Judah, jump in here.
Yeah, I was just going to say. I mean, it's right there. You're gonna have the sale price, the eventual sale price of the property, the length of the option, be it 2 or 3 years, any extensions and what those will look like. Sometimes I don't put that in there, but if I do, I say this is a 2-year option, and at the seller's sole discretion, to be determined at the time of renewal, the seller has the option to renew this for an additional $1,000 of non-refundable option consideration. Price, new purchase price to be determined at that time.
Yeah.
And then when it expires, default, what happens, and repairs and responsibilities. You want to explain all that in there. You're probably going to be using somebody else's boilerplate. You just want to be sure that you see those clauses in there. Leases are super easy to find. And again, you want this to be a totally separate document. You want to be sure that in your lease, you list specifically that the security deposit is $0.00. There is no security deposit. Security deposits have a whole bunch of rules, laws, and regulations associated with them. And if this ever ends up in big people court or little people court, you want to make sure that no district justice or no judge is ever going to be able to call your non-refundable option consideration a security deposit.
That's right.
You are interested in preventing that from happening.
That's a huge.
So you say, no, Judge, there is no security deposit. The lease says there's no security deposit. I disclosed to them that this non-refundable option consideration was for his option to buy the property.
That's right. That's right. And the last, so all of these things that you want in these documents are very easy to discuss before there is a problem, right?
Correct.
Before you have an option renewal, you're at the end of the renewal process, and they are almost there. They've got enough for the down payment. They need like 5 points on their credit, and they're like, "Look, we need another year." Okay, let's see what the agreement says.
Right.
As opposed to, oh, you can't just give us another year you can't just extend it. No, I can't. Here's the agreement. Same thing with
one of the things that I do at this point also, by the way, Josh, I just remembered this, and we do this now. It's funny. I started doing this with rent to owns, and now I do it with all of our leases as well, is we negotiate at the time of lease signing a 4% rental increase in the second year. So my lease says in the 13th month and the 25th month, there will be a 4% rental increase and 4% increase in the purchase price.
Yeah.
So remember, I already bumped up that purchase price 10%, and now I'm going to be increasing it, 4% compounded on top of that for the next 2 years. So by the time that they go to buy this, I more than likely am going to have plenty of wiggle room to come back and work out whatever the situation here is.
All right. So last but not least, a credit repair agreement. Now, if the intent here is to sell the property at the end of the lease option, and it should be,
Yep,
they're going to need to improve their credit. If the issue is a down payment, that's a different story. But if the issue is they don't quite have the credit to get in this house and get a mortgage for themselves, they need to have a plan of action. And guess what? Most of the time, people with challenged credit, the issue is planning and execution. It's not enough money. And so if you sit down with them and you have a plan, and it's like, look, for the next 2 years, you're going to go through this credit repair. And you know what? You don't have to do it for 2 years if you end up with a 700 credit score, right? But for at least you're going to you're going to say, look, I'm going to move forward with 2 years of credit repair. And if in 18 months you're good to go, great. If in a year you're good to go, great. But if you're not, you keep it moving. There's going to be a monthly fee associated with that. Now, Lexington Law is a really good credit repair provider. They're online. They've got a lot of resources. It's about $100 a month. You can also team up with somebody locally, and this is what I would recommend. Typically, a place like Lexington Law is really great for somebody that wants to improve their credit themselves with not a lot of oversight. Someone locally that is an expert in doing this is going to be a lot more aggressive and easier to touch base with. Typically, the costs are about the same, right?
Yep.
And it's good. You got to communicate or have the credit repair company communicate with this tenant buyer what their responsibilities are. Like, if you want a credit score that's 50 points higher, I need this document, that document. You're going to have to sign letters that I'll prepare for you. You got to do this. You got to do that. And get an idea of what the goal is. I want a 700 credit score. I want a 680 credit score. Whatever that number is, that's the target. Have it in writing and have them execute on it. That way you can set yourself up and your buyer up for a best case scenario. Anything I missed here?
Nope, I think you're great, man.
Awesome.
We went a little bit long today because we wanted to knock out this content and get it really covered. Again, rent to own and subject to don't always need to go hand in hand, but I think that they go very well together. If you have any questions or we're going to put together some documents and things like that to help people, so please be sure to email us and ask about that. We're going to be on here tomorrow with a guest, and then Friday is our news wrap up. We try to keep these shows to half an hour. We apologize to everybody that we went a little bit long, but we really feel like we got into some great content and actually told people. I mean, this is a $2,500 course we just gave people. Like, we actually gave people the nuts and bolts of how to do subject to. So please like this show, comment, share the show with friends and family and other people who are in the real estate world. And we will be back here at noon tomorrow, everybody. See you, Josh.
See you, everybody. Have a good day.